Clear the room. But, General, we haven't yet— Leave me, General Borden repeated. He did not look up from the parchment in his hand. It took every ounce of willpower not to crush the paper and the poisoned words which were written in the neat, tidy hand upon it. Around the polished wooden table, the men and women of the General's staff exchanged guarded looks. "We'll reconvene this evening," Borden repeated, choking down the sadness which tightened his throat and threatened to strangle his words. "Messenger, you stay." The staff stood, gathered their papers, and shuffled from the room. No one spoke. Borden calmed his heart and schooled his features into the mask of a professional soldier, someone who had sent hundreds to their deaths and would do so again. "You've done the Empire a sacred service," Borden said, scraping the wooden chair across the stone and standing as the door closed. "Legion Arcturus commanded me to make best speed from the front lines and deliver the message to you alone, General," the messenger said. "He would not trust it to the magicians." "And you have carried those orders out?" "Yes, General," the messenger nodded. "I have spoken to no one of my mission." "Not at any of the inns or way stations?" Borden cast the messenger a glance and hooked his free hand into his belt. "No, sir," the messenger said, a proud smile breaking across his face. "You know the contents of the message?" Borden asked. "I was in the camp, General," the messenger said, his eyes focusing on the past. Borden watched as a glassy sadness crept into them. "And how fares the army?" "It was a shock, General," the messenger said, his gaze returning to the present. "I'm sure it was," Borden replied, his own voice thick and the words catching in his throat. "How was the journey?" "The weather held, and no one questions an imperial messenger on the roads." "Excellent," Borden answered with a smile, and stepping forward, drove his Pugio deep into the messenger's heart. The man's eyes widened in shock, and with a cough of blood he slipped to the floor. His hand trailed along Borden's arm from shoulder to wrist before his fingers lost their strength and the light faded from his brown eyes. General Borden, most excellent leader of the Empire's army, sighed and stepped over the body. Pausing, he retrieved a square of cloth from inside his tunic and wiped the blood from his hand and the blade of his dagger. Taking a deep breath and holding it to calm the racing of his heart, he opened the thick wooden door. The guards to either side snapped to attention, spear tips pointing to the ceiling and their gazes fixed upon the painted wall opposite. "The messenger has taken ill," Borden said. "See to his comfort." "Yes, General," the guard on the right said without inflection. Both guards were immunis, specialized troops whom he had selected personally from amongst the ranks of soldiers and paid double. They were loyal and trustworthy. "Ensure it is done with a minimum of fuss," Borden added, stepping past them. "Of course, General," the guard replied. The long corridor was decorated with plaster painted with squares of vivid orange and red, a reminder of the setting and rising sun which encompassed the reach of the Empire, and the flame which warmed them all with life. Between each square, a small alcove in which the stern but benevolent bust of a past emperor looked out upon all who walked the military corridor of the palace. A line stretching from the founder of the Empire to the latest emperor. They had overseen centuries of prosperity, of wealth, and a culture the likes of which the world had never seen. As Borden passed the first bust, his posture straightened, his spine unbent, and his shoulders broadened. This is what it meant to be the general of the Empire's army.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.